Hi, I'm Raj Sukheja and I'm going to show you how to get your investment for your startup. First comes the idea. What idea do you have? How are you going to be able to build a business model on it? You need to research it. You need to find your market. You need to commercialize the idea. And once you're done with that, then you need to go and build a business plan around it to see whether that idea is going to make you money or not. Now you further down need to research on the investor. You have to identify the investor. You just don't reach out to everyone. You need to understand the investor appetite. You need to understand who you need to reach. You need to understand the budgets you require, that the investor is capable of investing in your company. You need to look at all these things, and that will only come via research. Most of the data is available on the internet. So take some time out. First you have formalized your idea, formalized the business plan. Now you know how much money you require for your business. Now once having done that, you need to look at the investor in terms of who and how much is that investor willing to put and what kind of industry interests that investor. So once this is done, you know formally what and who needs to be approached and how. Post the research, you need to build a pitch. Either you build it if you're capable of it, or if you have friends or consultants that you can hire and give them the pitch deck to develop for you, do that, because it needs to be well done. The pitch deck has to be succinct, clear, short, brief, to the point. The investor who's going to be looking at the pitch deck does not have time. So you need to be very, very crisp while delivering the pitch deck, and it has to be professionally looking, not a sloppy mess. And the pitch deck will reflect what you have designed on your business plan. You need to understand where you need to bring the fund from. So you're looking at an investor who could either offer you equity or you could be offered debt. Debt are loans. It's business loans as is given by a bank or an NBFC or your friends or your family or investors who believe in you. And usually a loan comes with interest. It also comes with collateral sometimes, but that all depends on your relationships. So that's how you find your money. Then the other part is equity, in which you give a share of the holding in your company to an investor, and he becomes a partner in the company. And in equity, there are several formats in which equity is offered. Equity is what you would probably have to offer if you do not have collateral and nobody wants to give, if no one wants to give you debt. Initial startups, debt is the preferred method of raising capital, not equity. But a lot of people do look at raising equity at the early stages, which has its advantages and disadvantages. Raising equity requires valuation, and valuation is decided by either someone who knows how to create a valuation out of a company. Now, a valuation can be created out of your concept, it can be created out of your business, it can be created out of your competency, idea. There are many ways to do this. So prima facie, once your business plan is ready, company is ready, your idea is marketable, you've done all the groundwork, you need to put a valuation to it before raising equity. So you know how much equity is to be diluted, which means how many shares are to be given against what value. As I mentioned before, raising debt is simple because either you have collateral or you don't have collateral, or you have a good credit score. So the bank will give you funds or your family will give you funds because they know you and they can trust you with their money. And there is an interest component usually on loans given, which is a very simple format. You know in advance how much interest you're going to be charged, what kind of fund you require, how you will get it, and who's giving it to you, and how you need to repay it back. Now, equity is a different animal altogether. Equity is when you put a value to your company. Now, your company may be newly formed, maybe 1 year old, maybe 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. Every variable that you add to the company, including your team competency, your perception, your business revenues, the assets you own, the IPs if you have any, the patents if you have any, all these things factor to come on to a valuation, which probably you can assign to a company. And that valuation is finally debated with the investor and amount is agreed upon, in which a portion of the equity, that is your shareholding, is diluted and given to the investor, so that against the equity he gives you funds. And this is how the whole process works of valuation. Valuation is usually done by professionals. It could be a CA, it could be a professional that is certified to do valuation like a merchant banker or any other as per the Indian laws. And this is exactly how this whole format works. Now, having said all that, I would also like to add that the government of India is doing a lot of work for startups and giving different schemes for different formats where funding is available at substantially lower interest to support the startup movement in India. So you should look at that as well when you look at the list of investors that you're trying to raise money from. Most entrepreneurs look for answers. Problem is not the answer, the problem is the right question. Understand what the questions are when you work with a startup on raising capital. Who is the investor? What's your market share? What is your product? What is the scalability of that product? Can it scale? Can you go to a larger market? What is the time frame to go to that market? Are you ahead of your time or are you on time? Sometimes it happens, the product is so ahead of time that people are not able to sell that product or service because the market is not matured enough to accept it at that moment. But later on, it becomes that, wow, what a product. So I can give you multiple examples like big data. If somebody would have approached someone to invest in big data maybe about 15 years ago, it was too ahead of its time. Nobody even understood what big data was. But with Google coming in, big data now is a word that everybody wants to invest in. Similarly with AI. AI was only a dream. With ChatGPT now, it's everyone's dream to venture into a business that has something to do with AI. So these buzzwords keep changing and the formats of investments keep changing in them as well. And you need to understand that you asking the right questions will tell you exactly how you need to get this funded. And if you're in a confusion in terms of what the right question is or how you need to go about it, consult with an expert. That's how it works. Do not experiment because experimentation is expensive when you don't know the right questions. The right questions will give you the right answers. And if you know how to frame the right questions, you cannot go wrong. So focus on the question, not the answers at the outset or anytime in your entire business lifetime. Getting funding is an art and you need to be the artist. Look at all the aspects of your business and understand what you are asking funding for. Be clear. The business plan essential, pitch deck essential, numbers essential, valuation essential. And you need to put yourself in the position of the investor when you ask for the money because you need to understand that he is trusting you with the commodity that is money, and that is what is going to take your business to the next level. So focus and answer all questions that the investor asks you, however they might seem at that moment. Answer them honestly, frankly, and with enthusiasm. While pitching, look sharp. These are the ground rules. And do not waste their time because when you deliver a clean, crisp pitch, the investor knows that you are not wasting his time and you respect it. That respect will get you the funding. And I hope you get the funding soon. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share and hit the bell icon for all future updates.